Tonight, the war has taken another dramatic and unexpected turn, a turn that Russia absolutely did not see coming, and one that Ukraine has been quietly preparing for behind the scenes. A massive oil facility inside Russia, valued at nearly $10 billion, has been struck in what analysts are now calling one of the boldest and most damaging Ukrainian drone operations of the entire conflict. And this wasn't a random explosion or a lucky shot. This was a coordinated, deliberate, precision strike designed to hurt Russia exactly where it matters most: its economy, its oil exports, and the financial engine that fuels the war. What we know so far is that the attack happened during the night, when a wave of long-range Ukrainian drones entered Russian territory from several directions. These were not the small FPV drones we are used to seeing on the front lines. These drones were bigger, heavier, and built to fly deep into Russian airspace. They used satellite navigation, low-noise propellers, and terrain-following flight paths to slip under Russian radar. Witnesses reported hearing a faint buzzing sound followed by a massive fireball rising into the sky and turning the darkness into bright red flames. Russian emergency units raced to the scene, but the fire spread faster than they could contain it. Hours later, parts of the facility were still burning. Official Russian statements, as usual, downplayed the event. They called the damage minor and insisted that everything was under control. But satellite images released later tell a very different story. Entire storage tanks are destroyed. Several pipelines appear broken. Large sections of the facility show dark burn patterns indicating complete structural loss. For a country already facing heavy sanctions and declining oil revenue, this is more than a small inconvenience. It's a direct hit to one of the most important sectors of the Russian economy. And this is exactly why Ukraine chose this target. This wasn't about creating panic, and it wasn't about symbolism. This was a strategic strike aimed at the heart of Russia's energy network. Russia relies heavily on its oil exports, not just for normal economic activity, but for funding its military operations, producing ammunition, and keeping its wartime supply chains alive. Every barrel of oil that Russia sells helps it buy more missiles, more drones, more artillery shells, and more military equipment. By hitting a $10 billion oil facility, Ukraine sent a clear message. If Russia continues to attack Ukrainian cities, Ukraine will attack the economic foundations that support Russia's war. The operation itself appears to have been executed with remarkable precision. Analysts believe Ukraine launched more than 30 drones, splitting them into multiple small groups. Some drones were used as decoys, intentionally flying in paths designed to trigger Russian air defenses and force them to waste expensive interceptors. Once those defenses were distracted or misaligned, the main wave of drones approached from a different direction, low, fast enough, and accurate enough to hit within seconds of each other. The result was a coordinated series of explosions that quickly overwhelmed on-site emergency systems. The pressure inside the storage tanks caused secondary blasts, and the heat from the flames made it nearly impossible for Russian firefighters to approach safely. Russia's reaction followed a familiar pattern. They blamed Western countries for supplying Ukraine with components. They claimed Ukraine could not possibly develop such drones on its own, even though Ukraine has been building a massive domestic drone industry for over a year. They said the fire was small, even as videos leaked online showing walls of flame stretching across the facility. The more Russia tried to control the narrative, the more obvious it became that this strike had caught them completely off guard. But this attack isn't just about Russia and Ukraine. Its impact is global. Oil markets reacted within hours. Prices ticked upward as traders processed the idea that Ukrainian drones could repeatedly hit deep Russian energy sites. Analysts warned that if similar strikes continue, Russia's ability to maintain stable oil exports could be threatened. This isn't only a military problem, it's an economic shockwave that can travel far beyond the battlefield. What this operation proves is something extremely important. Ukraine now has the capability to inflict billions in damage using affordable, home-built drones. They don't need foreign jets or long-range missile systems to hurt Russia economically. They can strike from hundreds of kilometers away without crossing borders, without exposing pilots, and without risking large military assets. This levels the playing field in a way Russia did not expect. And the bigger question now is, what comes next? Because if Ukraine can do this once, it can do it again. Military analysts already believe Ukraine is preparing a series of synchronized drone campaigns targeting other strategic locations, such as refineries, fuel storage depots, gas processing plants, and railway terminals that transport oil products across Russia. Even 2 or 3 successful strikes on similar facilities could create major supply disruptions inside Russia. And unlike sanctions, which Russia can sometimes work around, physical destruction cannot be bypassed. If a refinery is destroyed, it takes months or even years to rebuild. This is the new face of warfare, cheap drones taking on expensive infrastructure. One side spends a few $1,000s per drone. The other side loses billions in damage. And so far, Russia has struggled to adapt. Its air defense systems are designed to track large, fast objects like jets and missiles, not small, low-flying drones weaving through terrain at night. Ukraine has found a weak spot, and it is pressing hard. This attack marks a turning point, not just in the war, but in global military strategy. A single night, a coordinated drone wave, and a $10 billion facility disabled. This is modern warfare, fast, intelligent, asymmetric, and tonight, Ukraine has demonstrated that it can strike the Russian war machine at its core. As the fires slowly die down and investigators examine what's left of the facility, one thing is clear: this is not the last operation of its kind. Ukraine's drone program is expanding, improving, and evolving. And Russia, despite its size, is finding itself increasingly vulnerable to a style of warfare it was never prepared for. We will continue to follow this story closely because what happened tonight may shape the next phase of this conflict and perhaps even the future of modern war itself.